Welcome to our review of Princess Cruises' Crown Princess. Fresh from her dry dock makeover in the Bahamas earlier in 2018, we joined her in the Med later that year for 10 days of warm princess hospitality as we sailed from Rome to Barcelona via an unconventional route including stops in the Adriatic, Kotor and Dubrovnik, which were completely in the opposite direction to Barcelona. For this video though, instead of doing a diary-style vlog, we're going to share with you what we loved and what we didn't on this trip, incorporating a dining guide including all the premium venues. Did we come back new or did we just come back? We're going to find out right now, but before we do, please hit the old subscribe button because we've got so much more Princess Cruises stuff to show you this year and you'll be glad you did. Well, I'll be glad you did. One thing we like to do early on in a cruise is establish which bar is our favourite for pre and post dinner drinks. Well, you've got to consider the vitally important stuff first, eh? I'm surprised they don't provide info for these essential matters during muster. Does SOLAS really stand for Safety of Life at Sea? Or can it be changed to provide guidance for Surveillance of Locating Alcoholic Stockists? Although I do not like the word nice, Vines was nice. Set around the piazza so you could people watch while you ate canapés, which were complimentary only if you bought a drink there. Actually, the canapés were the best element of this venue because although the wines were very good indeed and the waiters were knowledgeable in all things grape, the servings were small, about 150ml, and so weren't as good value as other drinks you could buy from other bars. Adagio's bar, next door to Sabatini's, was also a pleasant venue, but a bit off the beaten track and a lot quieter than anything else around the piazza. The Wheelhouse bar had a more traditional pub feel to it, had live music and of course led nicely into a meal at the Salty Dog, but it felt too large and open to be intimate enough for our liking. The Explorer's bar, attached to the Explorer's Lounge, was also a nice place to sip on a cocktail, particularly if you sat around the bar. But it felt slightly too much in the main thoroughfare on the edge of the Explorer's Lounge, and thus not as inviting. Although the bar was nice and very busy, so there's lots of bustle. Not too bad at all. So, crooners beat every venue by quite a long nose. Or should that be a long drink? Being on the piazza, crooners could get very busy at peak times, but the waiters here were extremely friendly, up for a bit of a laugh, and given the right encouragement, quite acrobatic with your drinks too. The drinks were decent value and large enough that you could make one last. I mean, look at the size of the margaritas. On our first full day, we decided to check out the sanctuary to see if they had any offers for early sign-ups. Sometimes you get lucky, but on this occasion we didn't, but we still went ahead and paid for the whole cruise. Yes, the whole cruise. I think we were taken in by our first impressions and indulged rather rashly. Or did we? The sanctuary costs $40 per day, that's US dollars. $20 US for half a day, but if you book it for the whole voyage, it works out at $30 US per day. And that's per person. So, I can hear your gasps of disbelief at how much we spent in one go. So what do you get for that kind of money? Well, the sanctuary is a luxury, adults-only area at the top and front of the ship, which houses beautiful padded lounges, shaded canopies, awesome views to the front, and plenty of peace and quiet. You get to choose your sunbeds, which remain only yours for the entire voyage, should you wish to keep the same ones. When you arrive here, they are already laid out with towels, cushions, and if you need them, blankets. The staff here are utterly amazing and will bring you complimentary teas, coffee and ice-cold citrus or cucumber water throughout the day, as well as drinks from the bar, which is chargeable, and afternoon tea, which is not. And they bring that out every day and serve you at your sunbed. Considering we had an ocean view room with no balcony, it became our outside home for the entire trip, and that was very welcome. But I'd say that booking the whole voyage was too much unless you have deep pockets or you have a particular aversion to crowds. We couldn't be up here all the time to justify its cost, but we'd definitely recommend it as an indulgent treat for a few mornings, afternoons or sea days. The sanctuary is wrapped around the Lotus Pool, which is free to use, but is an adult-only pool. It's nice and quiet here and rarely got busy on our voyage, but be warned, the pool is freezing. Only the brave, or extremely tough, would venture in above the knees. Perhaps that's why it was so quiet. The hot tubs got busy though, I assume full of people with frostbite. You may have seen our ship tour video of the Crown Princess, and if you haven't, please give it a look as it forms part of this overall ship review. While I won't repeat myself on this follow-up, what I said at the beginning of that video about this class of ship's looks wasn't too complimentary, but this particular design has one major advantage that totally forgives its grumpy face, and that's the inclusion of a promenade deck that goes all the way around the ship. So few ships have a full promenade deck these days, so this was a major design triumph, and it's rare that any promenade deck goes all the way around to the front of the bow. You simply can't come on the Crown Princess without at least once watching a film under the stars, or clouds, on her giant screen around the mid-pool. The movie we ended up seeing was not the one I wanted to watch, and a complete and utter yawn fest. I won't mention what it was because Helen enjoyed it, but to say it was a film probably made mostly by late middle-aged women, starring mostly only late middle-aged women, and suitably only for middle-aged women, well, that sums it up perfectly. The whole experience of snuggling under a blanket with a bevy or two in the dark was so much fun though, even if the film was as fun as the general emergency signal. Let's talk dining, shall we? There are 3 main dining rooms on board Crown Princess, all virtually identical to each other: the Da Vinci, the Michelangelo and the Botticelli. You can choose set dining times or anytime dining, and all food in here is included in your fare. The cuisine here was definitely above average for main dining room food. The menus were varied and the food was excellent, as were the waiting staff. Princess do a range of desserts branded chocolate journeys, and for the chocoholic like me, they are particularly deadly. Even worse for my well-being, they're also available in the International Cafe, should you wish to lose all sense of self-control outside of main dining hours. Now I'm going to briefly mention the Horizon Court and Café Caribe on the Lido deck. It's the almost all-day buffet area, where you get breakfast, lunch and dinner at your convenience. The food is good, but there is one major problem that puts me right off eating here. Can you guess what it is? Plastic plates. Yep, all the plates, dishes and cups are plastic. The sort of plastic that sucks all the heat from your meal before you've even sat down with it. I've not encountered this before on a ship unless the area is directly around a pool. It's not pleasant and I feel like a naughty child who can't be trusted with real crockery. Please put proper plates in here, Princess, even just for the evening service. Picnic crockery is for picnics, and your lovely food here deserves better. Despite the main dining options being perfectly adequate for every night of your cruise, as part of our ongoing mission to seek out the very best dining on every ship we sail on, we couldn't ignore the premium dining options on board, and firstly, the Salty Dog Gastropub, in the Wheelhouse Bar in the evenings. This costs a very reasonable $12 per person, and the menu includes the famous Ernesto Burger, a gourmet creation by burger expert chef Ernesto Uchimura, and exclusively to Princess, and we just had to try it. Did it live up to its reputation? Yes, I can earnestly say it did. Oh, that was awful. The food here at the Salty Dog overall was great and well worth the cover charge. Make sure you try it at least once, then leave a comment below as to what you thought. Speaking of cover charges, the other two premium dining venues, Sabatini's and the Crown Grill, are a little more expensive at $29 per person. Did they justify the cost? Sabatini's is a classic Italian trattoria, and the menu reflects the dishes favoured by the Italian executive chefs on board. And there's more Italian chefs in the Princess fleet than any other nationality, so naturally the menu is very good indeed. Here's a selection of dishes we had one night, and they were all utterly delicious. Worth the cover charge? Assolutamente! Named by USA Today as one of the best cruise ship steakhouses, the Crown Grill is a premium seafood and chop house restaurant, and in my opinion the most upmarket venue on the ship. The decor is classically rich in dark woods and premium table linens to make the whole venue sumptuous and refined. And this is reflected in the menu too. They even have a gourmet salt selection that gives a subtle seasoning to the savoury dishes you order, and are embellished with fancy names such as Himalayan Mountain Pink, Hawaiian Black, and Smoked Applewood. Whether you like your seasoning heavy or not, this little party trick doesn't distract you from the fabulous dishes on offer here. Let me show you what we enjoyed. And there we have the Crown Grill, and I've got to say, as with the Salty Dog and Sabatini's, they're all well worth the cover charge. If you can stretch to them, at least once on a cruise, we highly recommend it. Our favourite venue on the whole ship was, yes, you guessed it, the International Cafe. What is it about our love for onboard cafes? If you've watched our other review videos, you'll realise that whether it's an Azamara, Silversea, Seabourn Celebrity or the Queen Mary 2, if there's a cafe on board, it'll be our favourite place. The cafe here is no exception. It's open 24/7 and the fabulous variety of food is complimentary, even if the coffee is not. Purchase a coffee card though, and for the duration of your voyage, all the specialty teas are free of charge. This was great as I'm a hopeless coffee addict, but Helen prefers fancy teas, so the deal was just about perfect. You can also use your coffee card at Coffee and Cones up on the pool deck too, and the coffee is just as good there, although one little thing struck me, and that was the coffee cups up there seemed to be the non-recyclable single-use plastic variety, creating, I can imagine, a huge amount of waste not just on this vessel but over the entire fleet. Come on, Princess, you can do better than this. One area I'm never a fan of on cruise ships is the casino. Yes, I know I may be in the minority, but we're simply not gambling people, so it doesn't appeal to us at all. Gatsby's on the Crown is huge. If there's one thing American ships like to provide, it's a large casino. Except Azamara, who are actively removing their casinos altogether. It got very busy here in the evenings, as you can see in the footage that I took shortly before being kicked out for filming. Apparently you can't take pictures or video in casinos. How was I to know? I don't ever go in them. If you prefer not to pump cash into a machine, the evening entertainment on Princess is very good. The Princess Theatre is a spacious venue and the shows are very typical of cruise lines and ships of this size. Nothing particularly stood out, but then nothing was disappointing either. The Explorers Lounge was a little different, offering live evening entertainment that was mostly interactive. There was quizzes, comedians, trivia and other participative entertainment. We particularly enjoyed the Liars Club, which is always good for a laugh after a couple of large cocktails, and it always attracts a huge audience. Oh, and we never, ever get the answers right. We're either bad liars ourselves, or super gullible. Probably both. Unfortunately, we never got to the Club Fusion, the ship's nightclub, so we can't give you any idea as to what it's like in there. We did, however, venture into Skywalker's nightclub a couple of times, and found it to be the place for a late-night dance. This ship is not short of outdoor areas. There are 4 outdoor pools, all offering a slightly different experience. The small rear pool had fantastic views of the wake of the ship, had its own bar and had easy access to the buffet restaurant. Not much shade though, so sun worshippers only, or bring a big floppy hat. The next pool along is situated in view of the giant movie screen, where they show movies in the evenings and sometimes in the afternoons, and also sports events during the day, but mostly American-focused sports, which for a Brit like me are completely confusing. The decking around this pool is beautifully tiered facing the screen, but again, there's virtually no shade in the upper tiers, so on hot days, it's very hot. Further along still, there's another pool. It's the largest of the 4 and is flanked by its own bar, coffee and cones, the Salty Dog outdoor grill and the pizza bar. This one has plenty of shade around the pool and the upper decks are very large. It has an additional bar and a DJ area where music and trivia is played during the day, and the Sail Away band often plays here, weather permitting, for those sail away parties. Finally, there's the Lotus Pool near the sanctuary at the front of the ship, which we've already covered. We didn't have a favourite because they're all different. Finally, wrapping off this extremely enjoyable cruise was the old Princess favourite, the Captain's Party in the Piazza, which featured the infamous champagne fountain and balloon drop. If free champagne is your thing, then this party is for you. Waiters brought round the champers and they weren't stingy with it either. The champagne fountain features a pyramid of champagne glasses that is painstakingly built from the ground up by some seriously steady-handed waiters. I thought they'd just wheel out a one-piece glued-together version, but no, they were all individual glasses. What on earth do they do in choppy seas?
6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Once the party was in full swing, they let the balloons go. Funny how, no matter how old you are, balloons still provide so much idiotic fun, although the sensible part of me is always slightly concerned with where all that environmentally reckless plastic waste is ending up. Perhaps one day we'll look upon balloons in the same way as we do plastic straws or polystyrene cups. I guess it's difficult making a balloon from cornstarch, isn't it? So, with much balloon popping and champagne quaffing, we come to the end of our brief review of the Crown Princess. In summary, this ship will treat you to a damn fine cruise. The crew are great, the food is delicious, as you would expect from Princess's reputation, and the premium services offered are on the whole good value. We'd recommend you try the Sanctuary at least one day of your cruise, and also the Crown Grill, Salty Dog and Sabatini's. So, to get the full Princess experience, be prepared for a bit of an extras bill at the end of your cruise. If you factor this in, you'll have a fabulous time. Thank you so much for watching, if you've got this far, of course. And if you like what we've done, please consider liking the video for a start, and secondly, subscribing, because we've got lots of princess stuff coming up and lots of other ship stuff coming up, and we'd love you to be along for the ride. Thank you.